So we've been talking a lot about making chord progressions lately, and we've seen how to make them beautiful, and we've seen how to do the bass line. But now let's talk about making a melody. Okay, because what you really need in music is three things: melody, chords, and a bass, solid bass. Other than this, maybe a drum would help to keep the rhythm going. But for classical music, especially, you don't need much. They didn't really use a drum kit or much percussion at all. They just used other instruments to progress along. And if you have this is technically your rhythm right here. It keeps you going. It's kind of a metronome, if you will. So let's talk about the melody. The melody can start on any note you wish, but usually it's good to start with one of these notes out of your chord, I guess, one of these notes. So let's go ahead and start on E, just for kicks. We got C, E, and G, C, E, and G to choose from. I'm going to choose E. Okay, so this first chord sounds like this. Where you start with the E up there, it sounds like this. Super nice, okay? Super easy, super friendly, and that's what we're going to start with when we talk about this stuff. We're going to keep everything simple. Okay, so we have our E, and then you can either keep this going the entire way and then just change every chord. In fact, you can keep this just like this. This is totally fine, and then just maybe go down to D here and stay on D here. And if I play this with I'm just going to play it with the bass down here. Or maybe I'll do block chords just so you can hear the tonalities. It sounds okay. Sounds okay. Sounds okay. And it still sounds okay, right? So our melody is really simple. It's just, which is really boring, but it works, right? As long as it's functional. Functional is good, but it's boring. Functional is good, but it's boring. Equals boring. So how do you make this more interesting? Well, you stick with this, and you embellish it, just like we did with the chords down here. Remember, our chords were just block chords that were really boring. No one wants to listen to just block chords here. That's why we made it a little bit more interesting with the arpeggio. You can do the same thing with your melody up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and erase this. So how do we do this? Well, you can make a little motive. Maybe you can make this kind of thing. So we got E, C. Maybe just repeat it. So it sounds like this. And then we can go up to A here. Because we got, and this will be really high, but that's okay. So now, if we do this, again, all I'm doing is pulling out notes of the chord here and making a little motive. This is going down by a third, but now it's leaping. So if you put these in pairs, it's kind of E something, other something, right? So as soon as this becomes predictable, we're changing it. So maybe this will sound like, maybe I can do this again. Okay, so now it sounds like we're actually doing something, which is kind of cool. And then we can do the same thing here and just do the whole thing. This is D and D, F, and A, right? D, F, and A. So we just take this kind of pattern you can use over here. And instead of going down a third to D, B, because the B isn't there, we can go ahead and use A, D, A, D, A. And then maybe we do the same thing here, but we change the note here. So you can do like G, B, D. We have a D, we can go up to G. And, oh, if we put an F here, now we have the, so we do, see if I can line this up better. We can do this, and now if we look at this chord, we have G, B, D, F, which makes the 5-7 chord, which is really good to go back to your 1 chord. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. See what this sounds like, just for kicks. Now, the nice thing about this is you can actually write this, and then after you have this all written out, go to the piano, go to your musical instruments, put this into your musical software, if you will, and you can hear what it sounds like. But you could actually get to this point without listening to a note, and then you go back and you could listen to it and see what you want to change. Okay, so with block chords, it sounds like this. And then you repeat, it goes here. That kind of thing, okay? So we have a melody, and you can actually make this a little bit more embellished, if you will. So instead of just E, C, you can make this a little bit better. Maybe throw a little bit of Mary Had a Little Lamb in here. Dun 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 dun. Or bum bum ba, like that, right? So now your melody is, if we do all this, it's. And all we're doing is putting a note in between. This is called a passing tone. A passing tone. Passing tone. Or you can call it PT for short. PT. Usually what we would have to do in music is circle the this is called a non-chord tone, and label them as such. So maybe this is a P, oops, P, T. Okay, these are called non-chord tones. There's a bunch of them. Passing tone is one of them. We'll talk about those later. Non-chord tones. And this simply means that these notes don't fit in the chord. For this example is really simple. Our chord is simply C, E, and G's, right? This D doesn't fit, but the C and the E and the C do, right? Those fit. Okay, so this is a non-chord tone. Anyway, so if we have our melody like this now it sounds a little bit better. So let's go ahead and do the first half of this. Okay, so all we're doing is adding more notes in here, and this might become eighth notes now. Eighth note, eighth note, eighth note, eighth note. Eighth quarter, eighth quarter. Okay, so again we have this little motive thing that's kind of nice, and this kind of thing, as you write your music, you can kind of make up your own rules. So now we have this phrase, this rhythmic pattern over and over and over, ba 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 ba, and then maybe a rest there, and then same thing here. You could add a passing tone here, maybe B. D, F, A, and B is a little weird, but D, F, A, and C is kind of nice. Remember, D, F, A. The next note would be a C if you wanted to put a seventh. Now we have a D minor 7. We can use all kinds of chords here, guys. Okay, so then we have our passing tone. Passing tone. So maybe this would sound like this if I can play this. And then the last part, just improvising. Okay, and then so our last part was bum 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 bum. Right? So again, this is how you can make music without even going to the piano, really. You can just start writing out all your ideas. Where am I? There we go. Line there. Trying to add a little bit of class to this by making it look like real music. Okay, so again, this is how you can write chords, your bass line, and your melody, and make kind of playable music that actually sounds pretty good. Then the next thing would be is to write your words here, like I am so happy, right? Happy, because that works. Okay, so anyway, there you go.